Hi, welcome to episode 8 of Novel Knits. My name is Danelle, and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about what I'm knitting, what I'm reading, and what I have in the dye pots when I'm hand dyeing yarn. I am coming to you again from my basement here in southeastern Wisconsin, where I live with my husband, our dog Penelope, our 2 kids, who should rank on top of the dog, and the kids' 2 fish, Aimee and King Carl. And you'll notice I shifted my angle a little bit today, and there is a window above me, so I hope the lighting is okay. If it's not, I'll never do this again, but I thought maybe this way I could kind of have a little bit different of a look. I don't know. The walls down here are very white. Real quick before we get started, if you want to connect with me outside of this YouTube channel, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Novel Knit Girl, which will be down below in the description box, along with everything that I talk about today. So any patterns or yarns or books, a link to my Etsy shop will be there. So anything I talk about will be down below. So if you're wondering, it is Novel Knit Girl, but it's also listed below, so you can find it there too. Today I have really quick vital few. I don't have too much to talk about. I have some finished objects. I have some works in progress. I have some future plans. You know me, I'm always making plans. And then I have a little book club and a little shop news at the very end. I really don't have a lot. I haven't had a lot of time to dye yarn lately. Luckily, it's a hobby shop. It's not like I'm not like a big indie dyer. I just dye for fun. So let's get into the vital few. And yeah, I don't have a lot going on. We're busy all the time, but not with like things that are worth talking about really. My husband and I got our second COVID shot, so we're fully vaccinated. He had kind of a bad reaction. I didn't. I had heard that if you drink a lot of water, that helps. So I was like pounding water the day of our vaccination, and I had a little headache that evening, and I just didn't I went to bed early because I was just sort of not out of it, but just not feeling like focusing on anything. And then I felt great the next morning. And my husband woke up the next morning and with a pep in his step, and then he went outside and fertilized the lawn. And he came in and he was really dizzy and really hot and sweaty, and he had to lay down for like 3 hours. And he ended up feeling better, and we went to a family birthday party and came back. But then he kind of collapsed again after that. It was nothing severe and it didn't last a long time, but he definitely had an adverse reaction. And he didn't with the first one, and I did with the first one, so that was kind of interesting. But we're vaccinated now and we don't have to think about it. I think we are gonna get our daughter vaccinated this summer, but we're gonna let her kind of get through, because she just turned 13. And we're gonna let her get through the end of the school year because we had COVID, so she may still have some antibodies anyway. So we're gonna wait till like the end of June before we get her vaccinated and do it kind of in summer, so she doesn't have to worry about school or dance competitions or anything. My sister came in town for a week from Seattle, so that was really great. She came to help my dad because he is still recovering from his back surgery, though he is doing excellent. He's walking around the block and starting to leave the house, and he got his staples out. He's just looking and acting more like himself. It's been a long recovery, but he's doing really well. And it was awesome having my sister here. I didn't get to see her a lot because we have a really, really busy life between school and after school activities with the kids, but we had a couple meals together, and we would walk the dogs kind of during my lunch break. So I got to spend some time with her, which was really nice. I think that's about it. I mean, other than that, we have a lot of baseball going on. My son, he plays a tournament team, and if you're on that team, you also have to play Little League. So we have between 2 and 6 games a week. This last week was, less busy. He only had 2 games, so that was nice. He did have a tournament on Mother's Day, and it was the first time they won a tournament, and that was really nice, although it was like 40 degrees and I was freezing, but he was very happy and thrilled. They got a trophy and it was exciting. And then my daughter had a dance competition last weekend, which went well. She has one more national competition in next month, and a recital coming up, but she's pretty much kind of coming to the end of her competitive dancing career. She decided she didn't want to continue doing dance company, which is okay. I mean, she's old enough to make that decision. She doesn't want to be at the dance studio for 13 hours a week anymore. You know, she hasn't really had time to do homework this year, and she's very into art and music as well, and she wants time to do other things. She's still gonna dance, just not at the same studio and not with her company, and so she's kind of in that weird transition where she's gonna miss her friends, but she's excited to do something new, and we're excited because it'll free up some of our time as well. So all in all, it's a good decision, but she's struggling with it right now. So let's get into finished objects. I'm drinking iced tea today, so that's why I'm gulping. I'm wearing a finished object. This is the Paris and Berlin Cowl by Locatelli, and I made this out of yarn that I dyed myself. So this is on my 100% superwash merino base, which I wanted to test this yarn to see if I liked it, and I think I do like it. It's very, very soft and very stretchy. I mean, this has a lot of stretch. And I really like it. So I'm gonna come up close so you can see the cowl. So I actually haven't weaved in the ends yet. I have to do that, but I shouldn't have even shown you. You wouldn't have even known. Okay, so this is the top, and it's very long. And it's just like this texture at the top. And then you kind of get into this main patterning here, which is really pretty. And I'm really happy with how this yarn performed. I think it's really neat how the colors pooled, and I mean, I wish you could feel it. It is so soft. The only thing I'm not happy with is the bind off. So the pattern actually calls to do this garter section one more time, but I ran out of yarn. I didn't have enough to do 8 more rows, so I just bound off. And she has you do a super stretchy bind off, and I think it's too stretchy. I actually don't think it's quite firm enough for this. I'm not sure. So I'm thinking about redoing the bind off, even though I really don't want to. And then when I blocked it, it kind of made these little points here. So I used my iron to try to kind of pull that down a little bit. But overall, sounds like I'm being nitpicky, and maybe I am. I may just redo the bind off and reblock it, but I really like this. I really like the color. I mentioned on my last video that I had dyed the skein of yarn yellow, and then I realized I mean, maybe some people like yellow, but I sort of think if I'm gonna dye yarn to sell, I should dye things that I like. So then I over dyed it with with 2 different colors, and it just turned out really tonal, and I'm really happy with it. So I like it a lot, and I'm happy with this. If we're being honest, I probably will never rip out the bind off and redo it, because I'm not that kind of knitter. And I think this is fine. I like it. So this is how it sits. It's really nice. I'm a big fan of it, so yay. And then I finished 2 pairs of socks. So I've been doing 1 pair of socks a month, and I am definitely behind. These are my April socks, which I finished probably not too long into May, but I definitely did not finish them in April. And I made the Timeless Arrow socks by Kay Litton, who is the crazy sock lady. They're really pretty. And the yarn that I used is Voolenvine yarns on her Blitzed base, and this is the Feyre color. And the only thing that I did different is I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel instead of the one in the pattern, because honestly, these are all little cables, which you do without a cable needle, and it's not difficult, but it was fiddly. And so these took me a long time. So when I got to the heel, I just thought, I just want to do a quick, like short row heel and get through it quickly. And so that's why. These are a little tight. I think I cast on 64 stitches. I probably should have done 72, because with cables it kind of pulls in a little bit, but they fit, and they they're great. And I really, really do love the color and the pattern, and I'm really, really pleased with these. And I don't know if you can see the sparkle, but it's so pretty. I like sparkle yarn. So, oh, and there are 2 socks. Yay, I did make 2. So those are done. And now you'll see my May socks, and you'll see that I'm probably not going to finish them in May either. Oh goodness. It was bound to happen that I was going to fall behind, right? And then the other socks that I finished are these Shorty Socks. They're for Peeps' sake. It is a pattern. I followed the Vanilla Frosting pattern by Christy Houghton of Yarn Cafe Creations, and this is Mustache Yarn in the For Peeps' sake color. And then I slipped a stitch when I got to any brown stripe with varying degrees of success. This one does have a heel flap and gusset, and yeah, they're nice. They match really well. I'm really happy with the matching, and yeah, they turned out great. So I think I'm gonna make more Shorty socks because this is only my 2nd pair, and I think I need more short socks in my life. So 2 pairs of socks and a cowl, not bad at all for finished objects. All right, let's work. Oh goodness. Let's move into my works in progress, which I didn't even bring them all because I've been all over the place. I can't focus. I think there's been a lot going on, and I'm having a hard time with focusing lately in every aspect of my life. So knitting is no different. I will get to this guy hanging here, don't worry. I'm going to start with, let's take a break from socks. I'll start with my Comfort Fade Cardi. So I've been working on this in the evenings when I'm at home. So it happens sometimes. And last night I bound off the body. So here's where we're at. So I could actually probably put it on. And for the Comfort Fade Cardi, it's the reverse. So this is the stockinette side, which is probably what most people kind of recognize as knitting. But for this one, you wear it this way. So it's called reverse stockinette. And then you can see it's this really, really pretty fade. So it starts dark up here, and then it goes down and fades down. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this is working up. It's taking me a long time because there is a lot of purling, and I don't love to purl. That's probably why I don't make as many cardigans, and that's all I want in my wardrobe right now. So here it is, not on my body. So when I talked to you last, I was about here. And I split for sleeves, and I did the whole bottom. So the colors, I'll show this way too, just for fun. So this is Winterfell, and then it goes into Patagonia, the north, and then Patagonia, and then the bottom color is Dusk, which is kind of pink, but not overly pink. And I really love these colors together. I think it's great. I'm going to take a short break on this, hopefully just for the weekend, to finish up some other things that I'll talk about in a few minutes. But yeah, this is coming along nicely. So I just love the colors. One more time with feeling. All right. And this is living in my, oh my goodness, what a mess. In my His Dark Materials bag by Max the Knitter Le Garçon. Vincent is the dyer, dyed by Dolls, and then Max the Knitter is the designer. Well, they both design, so that's not right to say, but he's an animator, so he makes these beautiful drawings, and then it was part of a club that I did when I was supposed to not be buying yarn, but I'm happy, so that's okay. All right, next I'll go into, I've realized I think I'm gonna have an Andrea Mowry year because everything I want to make right now is an Andrea Mowry pattern, almost. So yeah, it's gonna be a year of Andrea, and I think that's okay. I haven't had one yet, so this is new for me. This is my Find Your Fade shawl, which, let's see. When I last showed it to you, I was down here, so I hadn't done very much at all. So here's where that progress keeper is. And now I'm into the second color. So still looks a little bit like a thong, but that's okay. But yeah, these are really bright colors. I'm using Hedgehog fibers. I think I'm using 5 skeins of Hedgehog fibers, and then I have 2 skeins of the long dog yarn. So I showed all of the colors on my last video, and as you see this shawl, you'll see how the colors come together. But I believe the first one is Echo, and then this one is called Taffy. And I wasn't like that excited about this taffy color until I started using it, and I really like how it's got these blue flashes, and I'm liking it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Not that I didn't like it, it's just very pink, and I'm not totally a pink person, but I'm doing it. So anyway, that's that. Okay, I also did cast on a Livy shawl by Tammy Gore, which I didn't bring down because I barely started it, and there's not enough to show yet, but I'm excited about that one as well, but haven't had time to work on it. And this is in this beautiful I Heart You bag, which I love. All right, next we'll get into my tournament socks, which I call them my tournament socks, but they're really my baseball socks. So whether it's a tournament or just a little league game, these are my baseball socks. So I have a half finished object. I finished the first one. Here it is. And it's great. So this is Lolodidit. It was a Downton Abbey club colorway, and the colors are Married to the Chauffeur, which is the pink here, and then Eloped, which is the green, which I don't know where my light went. And this is just a vanilla sock with a fish lips kiss heel and a wedge toe, 64 stitches, very, very soft yarn. I'm really liking it. So I'm on to the second sock, and I'm this far. So I know that next week I'll probably get to at least the heel during Monday night's game, and then we'll see what the rest of the week looks like. I also have to work in the concession stand next week. Oh gosh, that's the worst. And I have to do it for both Little League and for the tournament team. I hate working the concession stand. It's just not fun. I don't know, but got to do it or else you have to pay like $400. So I'll gladly do it instead of paying. That's in another I Heart You bag, which is my camping bag, which I really like. Wow, that was an awkward little shrug there. All right, and then I have one more work in progress that I'm going to show. And so the reason my little friend here is here with this, it's called a blanket scarf, but I like to call it a blarf. Why she's wearing the blarf is because I am making a second Campfire Blanket scarf by Alexandra Tavel. And I made this 4 years ago in 2017, and it is one of my most used and admired knits, I will say. Everybody loves this, and so much so that my friend and neighbor asked me to make her one. So her birthday is in June, and I did cast on to make her one. And luckily this is super easy and pretty fast. It's a free pattern. Again, it's the Campfire Blanket scarf, and Alexandra Tavel is also 2 of Wands. That's like her design name. So I got this cast on yesterday, and I did 9 rows. So this will be that in time. And it's an easy knit. These are size 13 needles. It's all garter stitch. You hold 2 strands of Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool together. So I'm just pulling from the inside and the outside of the ball, this thing. And I never make the same thing twice except for socks. This was not an unenjoyable knit. There's a rhythm to just doing garter stitch, and I don't like purling, so this is perfect, and I know she really wants it. So I think this will be a nice knit. Why is this different than the scarf I'm making for my sister? I can't tell you, but I enjoy this more. And then I have one more sock to show. And this is my June sock, which I decided to cast on for my mother. I'm gonna give these to her for Christmas. And this is the Astrid sock pattern by Tracy Miller of the Grocery Girls. And I am I'm starting my heel. So I really like this. The yarn I'm using is Leo and Roxy. This is their marled sock yarn. I have feelings about this yarn. It is so soft. It's really nice to knit with. No, it's nice to feel. I don't really like knitting with this yarn. It's splitty, and I actually did a heel flap and gusset that was called for in the pattern, and I had problems with the yarn with turning the heel and picking up the gusset, and I actually had to unravel it all. And now I'm just gonna do a fish lips kiss heel because I mean, that was a lot of knitting that I had to undo there. But the yarn is super duper soft. The sock feels amazing. I just don't like working with it all that much. But the minis that I'm using, this one came with is Leo and Roxy. It came like with a kit. And then this one is actually Leading Men Fiber Arts. This was 20 grams, and then the green that they gave in the kit was only 10 grams. It would have been fine, but I just thought, let's just do 20 grams and 20 grams. So I just grabbed a different one, and I'll use that other little mini for something else. So these are coming along okay, but it is June 21st, still on sock 1. I'm not gonna finish these in June. Oh, it gets so... I love knitting socks, but sometimes it's a pain. And I feel like my lighting really changed here. I'm sorry. Maybe if I move, that'll help. Now I'm really close to you. All right, let's move into book club. Actually, before we do book club, let's go into my plans. Because you know me, I like to make up all these plans and goals and not reach any of them. But I do have some things that I want to do by the end of this month. So one of them is I would like to, my Felix sweater that I finished, I think 2 episodes ago, the first day I wore it, I snagged the hem on something, it busted, the yarn just popped, and I have to re-knit like maybe 1 or 2 rows of the hem and rebind off. I need to get that done so that I can put it in my closet instead of having it out in my bedroom to remind me to do it. I really would like to finish my Comfort Fade Cardi and my Wave of Change within the next 4 weeks. I think this is doable because the Comfort Fade Cardi, I have 2 sleeves and a big shawl collar. It's more knitting than it sounds like, but I think I'll get it done. And I'm enjoying it, and it's starting to move, like getting through that body. Now there's not as much purling until I get on the sleeves, at least won't be any purling, and then the shawl collar will have a fair amount, but I can do it. And then I don't think I mentioned this before, but I was able to score one more skein of that Barrett Wool Company bulky twist heathered red flannel yarn that they're not making anymore from someone on Ravelry. I found it in someone's stash, and I looked at her profile, and it said, I have so much yarn, if you see something you like, just ask and I might be willing to part with it. And I was like, I will pay you full price. Can I please have this yarn? And she was like, yeah, sure. And so I paid her. She got it to me pretty quickly. So Glenna, I'm sure you have no idea that I'm doing this or are watching this, but thank you so much for that yarn. So now I want to finish that Comfort Fade No, the Wave of Change jacket by Denise Bayron. So I'm hoping to also get that done soon. So these are things that I just want to like finish and have ready to go for next fall. Let's see. I would like to cast on like 2 more sweaters and a pair of socks. So I am one of those people, and let me know if you're like this too. If you're a knitter or crocheter or crafter, what do you do in the summer? I don't know what I do in the summer. I don't think I do anything different, but I really would like to make a few summer garments this year. So I would like to cast on the Rocket Tee by Tanis Lavalley. I'm not sure how to say her name. When I hear it, I know it, but when I say it, it doesn't sound right. And I might want to do like one of those Jessie May tank tops. For some reason, I have it in my head that those would be nice and cool to sleep in the summer. Wool, it can be cooling. So those are 2 summer things I'd like to do. Also want to cast on a throw over by Andrea Mowry. I was watching Laura of the I Heart Knitting podcast, and she started one. I loved her Knit Picks palette that she chose, so I got the same one, and I really want to cast it on because it's so pretty, and I'm just in the mood for it. So this is Throw Over, if you're not familiar, and that's Andrea Mowry. She's so cute, and she's very talented at designing. And then I have a pair of socks that I want to start. That these have been in my queue forever. I have the yarn for it, and I just want to make them and start them. And there's not a good. They're the Ginger Snaps socks by Tabitha Gandy, who used to do a podcast with her sister Rachel, and they don't do it anymore. They used to have the Hey Sister Yarn Company yarn, and they had like 6 or 7 kids between them, so I'm sure that gets really busy. But so I have some cast-ons that I would like to do, and I think once I do want to whip down as well. So I worked on my sister's scarf a little bit. I have 3 more hours to put on that one before I can go to the next project in my Gideon method that I'm doing. I do want to whip down as well. There's just not enough hours in the day for all the knitting that I want to do. And dye yarn on top of it. Yarn dyeing always goes to the end of the list because I love doing it, but it takes more time and it takes away from knitting time. And I'm definitely like, I love knitting so much and I enjoy yarn dyeing, but like if I have the choice, I'll always choose to knit. But anyway, so those are my plans. Who knows, guys? If you guys show up next time, who knows what I'll have done. So you know I can't stick to anything. But anyway, but yeah, if you could comment below on what you're doing for the summer. Are you doing summer knits? Like, are you going to use cotton or linen? Or are you going to knit with wool? Are you going to just make small things like socks and hats? Do you make shawls? I'd really be interested in knowing what your summer knitting plans are. Because I'm not sure. I think I'm just gonna do sweaters and keep moving towards that goal. But I might want to do a few summer garments as well. We'll see. All right, now let's move into book club. I have only finished 2 books, which is fine. I'm totally okay with that. I finished on Audible The 2 Lives of Lydia Bird by Josie Silver. And I really liked it. I thought it was a really sweet book. You know, it's about a woman who her fiance dies in a car accident on her birthday, and sort of how she is living this one life where she's awake and mourning him and trying to move on, and then this other life where she's taking these pills to sleep and she gets to sort of live a parallel life where he's still alive. And you know, it's I don't know. I didn't have a hard time suspending my belief in this scenario. I thought it was done pretty well. I didn't love everything about it, but I did really enjoy reading it, and it did remind me of P.S. I Love You, which by Cecilia Ahern, I think, which is one of my all-time favorite books. And it's one that I wouldn't think is my favorite book, but it's one of those books that I literally laughed, like rolled laughing, and then also cried at. And this has, I mean, it's not the same, but it had the same sort of feeling of kind of that, you know, grieving but moving on kind of scenario. And I enjoyed it a lot. The other book that I finished was Crave by Tracy Wolff. This is a very young adult, supernatural, I don't know. Oh my gosh. Did I just like age 10 years by screwing that up? Paranormal romance, I think. I don't know. I didn't dislike it. I think I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads. I didn't dislike it. I'm not going to continue on with the series. It was fine. The thing that bothered me was which is like probably why it's a young adult book, right? Like it had phrases where it was like, I'm tired AF and FML, which, you know, they're abbreviations for, you know, the way kids talk these days. And I just didn't like it. I didn't like that. But it actually was probably very appropriate for how kids talk in a young adult novel. So I don't know. It was fine. The storyline actually was pretty good. The characters were okay. You know, it was fine. I just don't think I'm going to continue on with that one. And I'm currently reading Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Bowley. And I am this far. And I am enjoying this. I will say I didn't really do my homework and read much about it ahead of time. I was just like, it's about, you know, a Native American teenager, and that really interested me. And I will say the plot line is not what I was expecting, and it has some really cool things. Like I really like all the Native culture that's in there. I think that's done really well. There's some like choppy transitions where I just feel like it's a little jarring every once in a while. And the plot it's not bad. It was just unexpected, I guess. So, but I have to say I'm enjoying it, and I'll reserve my final opinion until the very end. Right now, on Audible, I started 2 books because I started The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, and it's kind of like what happened last time where like my focus, it has like a very pretty opening, but it's like a mood setting opening, but it wasn't grabbing me, and I just felt like I wanted something else. So I started it, and I'll go back to it. But I decided to switch gears, and I started listening to In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. And this is probably my 3rd time visiting this book. I read it as a graduate student at Northwestern for one of my creative writing classes. And then I read it again a few years later, and now I'm listening to it on Audible. And to me, this is one of the most fascinating books and stories about writing a book that there is. You know, it's a nonfiction novel, and he has like dialogue in the book that is clearly, you know, like dialogue he's created, but it adds so much to the telling of the story of this family that was murdered in Kansas in the 1960s, I think. And, you know, the murderers, and just the story of how Truman Capote kind of got this story and created it. And to me, it's just a fascinating read. And it's a book I come back to every once in a while, and I'm enjoying it a lot. If you like true crime, it's a must read for sure. So that's what I'm reading, and yeah, hopefully I'll finish, you know, a couple of these books soon. I have a lot of books that I want to read, so so every once in a while you get stuck, kind of, and I feel like I'm stuck right now. So I just have to find the right thing. And In Cold Blood is pulling me out of that, and hopefully I'll be back into the swing of things soon. So All right, I have a little shop news, very little. I have some yarn that is going to go in the shop this weekend, along with Heather has another picture or two, and I think she has another pom-pom wreath as well. So check the link to the shop below if you're interested in checking anything out. She's got some gorgeous drawings on there, and the pom-pom wreaths are really awesome. And we're not doing a ton right now because we both have been really busy, but we do a little bit when we can. And I think I mentioned in my last video that my most recent dye day was not great. Like things were I was just off. I had an off day and it happens, but I did have a couple beautiful things come out of it that after I skeined them up, I was like, yeah, I'm happy with these. So let me grab them really quick. Oh, I lost one. Ooh, this is really awkward. Ugh. I will try to cut some of that out. I will say that this will not be edited. My husband, well, no, it's not my husband's fault. Our family laptop broke, and we are not going to be replacing it right away. So I have new editing software that I got to put on the laptop. I'll try to put it on the iPad and see if that works, but probably not this week. So anyway, these are 4 skeins of yarn that I dyed. And it is really cool. This was leftover dye, and I just sort of put it in the pot, and this is what came out, and I'm super happy with this. I'm not sure what it's gonna be named in the shop yet, but yeah, I like these. This is the 100% superwash merino base, so just like this one, so really soft and drapey. And then I have these two that came out very like I was going for this color, and these turned out a little bit more orange. This is BFL, and there are 2 more BFLs. These ones, so these were all supposed to be the same. So what happened is, see, this is how off I was. My dye separated, and so when I poured the dye into the pot, this was the first batch that came out, and this was the second because I didn't mix it well enough. It was just a day. But I really like this kind of acorny brown color. I think it turned out really nice, and I like this as well. Sorry, the light, there it is. So it was a happy accident, but not one that I'm looking to experience again. And then my last one is, this is a BFL, 2 BFLs. And this one I think I'm gonna call just a little bit wicked. Again, I was using up leftover dyes, and sorry, I'm trying to find a nice place where you can really see the color. But it's like green and grays, and I like it. So I might keep 1 or 2 of these and put, I don't know, we'll see. Because once you put it in the Etsy shop, you pay for the listing, and you know, so I think if I want to use one of these, I should pull it out beforehand, because I'm probably not gonna be able to recreate this color because it was with leftover dyes. So I have a little yarn going in the shop, not too much. There's some other beautiful yarns in there. Yeah, I have a couple shawls that I knit that I put in there as well. One of them sold this week, which is like horrifyingly exciting because I always worry that people aren't gonna be happy with what they got. But I mean, it's a shawl I loved. It was just with the same yarn as my Tecumseh sweater, and I didn't feel like I needed 2 things in that palette. But it was a Courage shawl by Shannon Cook, and it was so pretty. So I hope that its new owner loves it. So after this, I'm going to shift a little bit if I can. If I can't, I'll do it another time. But my plan is to insert at the end here a little tour of my yarn stash, which is right over there. So I work down in the basement every day, and that's also where most of my yarn is stored. And so I am running out of space for yarn storage, which is why I need to have a no buy thing kick in here one of these days. But anyway, yeah, so if you're interested, you can stick around and check out my yarn stash. And if you're not interested in it, that's okay too. So thank you so much for stopping by today. If you would like to like and subscribe or leave a comment, I would really appreciate that. It helps me get this video out to more people, which I would love, although I appreciate every single one of you who comes here and watches me do my little thing. So thanks so much and have a great day. Bye. Okay, as you can see, this is going to be the stash video. So I pulled some things out of cabinets just in order to show it a little bit more. I'm going to try not to make this real long, but this is my office where I work every day, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on the weekends as well. And this is where I keep the majority of my yarn stash. So it's almost all here. And this is why I need to stop buying yarn, because I literally do not have any more space to put yarn down here. So I'm going to try not to make you sick and not move the camera around too much, but I'm going to show you my stash. Okay, we're going to start with what I call overflow 1, which is, this was the first overflow area I started with, and this is mainly bulky yarn. So, and some super bulky and some Brooklyn Tweed Loft. So this just doesn't fit well into any cabinet space. So I just need to knit this up. If you recognize that this red Tweedy yarn, that was my Christmas stocking yarn. And I'm either going to make a bulky, or try to make a bulky cardigan out of it, or I am going to donate it. So we'll see. If it doesn't get knit up by this fall, it will be donated. And here I have this beautiful IKEA cabinet, and inside I have mostly fingering indie or hand-dyed yarn, and usually I have all my self-striping yarn kind of lined up in front of all of this, so you can't really see it, but I took the self-striping out just to be able to show you all my fingering and lovely hand-dyed yarn that I'm just waiting to knit with. So some of it I have caked up or tried or used with other projects. Like this was my two of the colors that I had put in to my Choose Love shawl that I decided I didn't like. So I rewound those up and I'll use them for something else. Here is, oh, a couple self-striping yarns didn't make it out. Some yarn I've caked up to make a Once in Floral sweater by Max the Knitter. And this is a kit from Dyed by Dells. So I really like that yarn. I mean, I like all the yarn. I'm not choosing favorites here. This is some, yeah, just, I mean, lots of little like mini skeins that I wound up, got thrown in there too. Yeah, so I think I used part of this skein for a cowl. So I have almost like 3/4 of a skein left there to do something with. So yeah, and this is like two big Miss Babs Yowzas. So I mean, you can see compared to like a skein of yarn like that, it's a really big, it's a lot of yarn. So I'm excited to use those as well. So these are, I tend to buy a lot of Christmas themed yarn, and I'm yet to make Christmas socks for myself. And this is not all of the Christmas themed yarn I have. This is just all that I saw right now. So hopefully I will make some Christmas yarn. Over here I have another overflow area. The Barocco Vintage Chunky is all going to be a glamping blanket by Casapinka. I'm going to make that this summer either for my mother or myself. We're going to see how I feel about it. I may want to keep it. This is going to be a bulky vest. That's some Lion Brand yarn. Let's see. Next we're going to go up here. And this is all of the self-striping yarn that I took out of the cabinet. As you can see, I have a problem. I mean, is it a problem? I don't know. I just love it. And if you, I mean, there's so many things you can do with self-striping yarn, and the colors are just so amazing. So I just have to remind myself that I have this when I want to buy more, because I mean, this is probably 20 plus skeins of self, 30 maybe, I don't know. Up here I have, this is the only yarn you can really see in my meetings when I'm on Zoom, and this is a bowl full of Mayak yarn, enough to make the Hug Hug Kiss Kiss shawl and the hipster shawl. And let's see, this is an old picture of my kids. Here I have a vase filled with Quince & Co. sport weight yarn that I have had wound up for 2 to 3 years to make a pair of socks. So hopefully I'll get to that. All right, we're just gonna pan over the self-striping yarn again to get to the next cabinet. This cabinet holds a lot of sweater quantities of yarn. This is a kit by Botanical Wool. A lot of old wool, I'm sorry, not botanical wool, botanical yarns. I have a lot of old wool here to make a shawl or sweater. I have some Woolberry Fiber Company yarn there. This is Harrisville Nightshades in 2 different shades. And if you're not a knitter, it's not very fun to knit with black yarn. So having these nightshades that have like the blue and purple undertones makes it a lot more palatable. Down here I have Brooklyn Tweed Quarry, some Magpie, Barrett Wool Company to make another wave of change pullover, Midnight Cravings. Down here I have some recycled wool yarn that I got from eBay. So this woman, she undoes sweaters from thrift shops and then washes the yarn and cakes it up and sells it. And it was pretty economical, and I thought it would be interesting to try. A lot of Hedgehog fibers in here, some Leo and Roxy, some Hugh Loco, more Magpie and Spin Cycle, some Madeline Tosh. Down at the bottom, some yarn I caked up. A lot of knit picks in the back. Brooklyn Tweed Loft. And then some Harrisville Daylights, which that's like the Nightshades, but opposite. So it is like a white or light colored yarn with like a little bit of color thrown into it as well. So that's that. Over here I have a little basket. The bag on top is holding yarn for when I'm ready to start a Knit Picks, I'm sorry, not a Knit Picks, the Throwover by Andrea and Mowry with Knit Picks yarn. And then underneath that I have a kit of yarn from Espace Tricot and some more Knit Picks and Lion Brand yarn for my Campfire Blanket scarf. This one I think will at least go down in size soon. Over here I have my books that I kind of choose from. It's like my little to read library. There's a drawer here that I can't really open, but this has a lot of sport weight yarn from La Bien-Aimée and Barrett Wool Company. But I have plans for all of that. Down here I have a little bit more knit picks in solid colors and different weights for making either blanket plans that I have or sweater plans. And then finally I have this little basket here that has a few different toy kits from Barrett Wool Company that I have the yarn all caked up and ready to knit with. And I'm hoping to get to those before the children I intend them for are too old for toys. A little witch charm set. I thought I would make these this fall. And then this is my kind of other craft area. I have bought a ton of cross-stitching kits that I've ended up donating because I really don't have enough time for cross-stitching, but if I ever do, this is the one I'm going to try. I also have a couple bracelet making kits in here from Laura Nautkin. I did try drop spinning, and this was the result. It wasn't great, but I'm not willing to give up on it completely yet, so we keep my drop spindle. And then I have this macrame wall hanging kit that I actually do hope that I make someday, because I would actually like that in my house. So that's pretty much it for the downstairs stash. There are a couple smaller stashes upstairs, but this is the majority of my yarn and where I keep it. I do also have this little pile over here, which is my works in progress pile that I keep in the basement.
yeah, I have 3 more piles like this in the house. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed seeing my stash. Bye.